Inshallah, we'll begin from ayah number 85 of Surah Nisaa. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل إن الله نعم ما يعظكم به إن الله كان سميعا بصيرا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. ألم تر إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت وقد أمروا أن يكفروا به ويريد الشيطان أن يضلهم ضلالا بعيدا. وإذا قيل لهم تعالوا إلى ما أنزل الله وإلى الرسول رأيت المنافقين يصدون عنك صدودا. فكيف إذا أصابتهم مصيبة بما قدمت أيديهم ثم جاءوك يحلفون بالله إن أردنا إلا إحسانا وتوفيقا. أولئك الذين يعلم الله ما في قلوبهم فأعرض عنهم وعظهم وقل لهم في أنفسهم قولا بليغا. وما أرسلنا من رسول إلا ليطاع بإذن الله ولو أنهم إذ ظلموا أنفسهم جاءوك فاستغفروا الله واستغفر لهم الرسول لوجدوا الله توابا رحيما. فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. صدق الله العظيم. Inshallah, we'll translate the ayahs as we go. And it's been a long time since we had tafsir because in December we had it, and there was one weekend we had that estate planning program, and then after that I went out of town. So alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the tawfiq to resume and to discuss the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is it's a huge blessing. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a person the ability to do any type of deed, right, the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepting it is consistency, is continuity, is the tawfiq to keep doing it. Because if a king, if they don't value someone, they won't allow that person to come back in their court again, right? So like the sign that your one namaz in the masjid, salat in the masjid is accepted, is that you are allowed to come to the masjid again for the next salah. That's the sign that the previous salah was accepted. Similarly, like programs like this, alhamdulillah, it's a sign, I hope, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's acceptance, that we're able to do it week after week after week, and that you all, same faces we see, sometimes we say new faces, but mashallah, there's some people that are very consistent, mashallah. They're coming for these, so it's a sign, inshallah, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's acceptance. And to just read and hear the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in and of itself is a huge blessing. If a person were to come to tafsir every week, you've at least heard all of Surah Baqarah being recited, and all of Surah Ali Imran, and half of Surah Nisaa, right? This is the main thing. It's the words of Allah. Explanation is in its place. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to benefit from the explanation. But just sitting in a gathering with talab, where the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are being discussed, that in and of itself, if a person comes with, with desire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put things inside of the speaker's heart that will benefit the person. The person won't leave mahroom from a gathering like this. So now, where were we in Surah Nisaa? We were speaking about many of the ills of the Bani Israel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning many of their ills. And now the discussion of theirs is coming to an end, but they have a lot of ills, right? I mentioned this before too. There's one sister, who's a doctor in Ann Arbor. She went to Syria to memorize the Quran. This is like before every masjid has its own hifz program, online hifz programs, this and that. Every generation you had to go through more sacrifice. So like the people 80s, if anybody in America wanted to do hifz, you had to go to India, Pakistan, Syria, Egypt, somewhere. Then in the 90s and early 2000s, my time, Imam Ihsan's time, you have to go to boarding madrasa. You go there, you live without your parents. It's always like all the boarding madrasas were cold places, Chicago, Buffalo, and they teach you like in India, Pakistan. So there's pitai and this and that, right? Unlike now. That's what some people are, why is your generation Pakka? Because we used to get hit, right? So that's how we know our Quran. Then after that, we have the new generation. His programs everywhere. Every masjid has it, right? But this sister, she memorized it back, I'll say a little earlier. So she had to go to Syria. So she wrote a book about her experiences. And in there, one of the other students with her, very frustrated one time. It's hard. And so what she said is that, why were the Bani Israel so bad? If they were just good, I would have less, 15 paras less to memorize, right? So that's why there's a lot to discuss about the Bani Israel over here. So this is coming to an end. So now that's the context. Now this ayah, it's revealed about a specific incident. Now remember, this is one khasiyat of the Quran. The whole Quran wasn't revealed at once, like the other books. The Torah was revealed all at once, the Injil was revealed at once, the Zabur was revealed at once, the Quran was revealed in pieces, right? One ayah here, one ayah there. Sometimes the whole surah will come together. Like Surah An'am, long surah, it was all revealed at one time. Surah Al-Kahf, long surah, it was all revealed at one time. Then you have sometimes one ayah is revealed, sometimes only one portion of an ayah is revealed. In fact, the smallest revelation, does anybody know where it is? It comes to Surah Nisaa as well. What was the smallest revelation that came in the Quran? How long was it? 3 words. What were those 3 words? Farhan? Afzali? لا يستوي القاعدون من المؤمنين غير أولي الضرر. This is all. That was غير أولي الضرر. This was the revelation. Because before this, what was revealed was لا يستوي القاعدون من المؤمنين, and no غير أولي. لا يستوي القاعدون من المؤمنين والمجاهدين في سبيله. Right? That the ones who are sitting at home, they're not the same as those who are going out and fighting in the path of Allah. So that those who had a handicap, those who had some disability that prevented them from fighting, they said, Ya Rasulullah, we want with all our hearts to fight. So then Jibreel alayhi salam came with the ayah again and just revealed غَيْرُ أُولِي الضَّرَرِ. Those who are sitting at home without any excuse are not the same as the mujahideen that are going out and fighting, right? So each ayah was revealed in a specific context. However, when the ayah came, it was revealed because of something that happened, the Shani Nuzul. But then Jibreel alayhi salam would tell Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, put this ayah here, recite after this ayah or before this ayah, put it in this surah. And so when you read the Quran, you don't need to know why the ayah was revealed. Knowing why it was revealed, it will give you more understanding. But even if a person weren't to know why the ayah was revealed, it would fit together perfectly. Now I'll give you an example of this. In Surah Baqarah. In Surah Baqarah, the ayahs, famous ayahs about sabr. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. Ending with إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. These ayahs were revealed after the battle of Uhud. Okay? Then after that, the next ayah is إِنَّ الصَّفَا وَالْمَرْوَةَ مِنْ شَعَائِرِ اللَّهِ. This ayah, when was it revealed? It was revealed at the time of Umratul Qada. Umratul Qada was in the 6th year after Hijrah. So Uhud took place in the 3rd year. Umratul Qada took place in the 6th year. So these ayahs were revealed 3 years apart, yet they come one after the other in the Quran. And if you were to look, the meaning fits together too, because in the ayahs that were revealed at the time of Uhud, from Ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah up until Ulaika humul muhtadun, all of that is talking about sabr, being patient. Then Allah says, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. That verily Safa and Marwa are signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's signs. How does this fit in with the previous ayahs? Because Safa and Marwa, why did Allah make them signs? Because Hajar radiallahu anha, she ran back and forth between them. She displayed sabr at a very difficult time. So it's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, look, when a person has patience, your patience will be commemorated forever. In the book of Allah for sure, but sometimes even in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes you a model of patience. And first and foremost in that is Hajar alayhi salam, because of the patience she showed at the time of difficulty. Here are Safa and Marwa. But that ayah was revealed, it had nothing to do with Hajar alayhi salam or with Sabr. It had to do with when the Muslims went for Umrah, there used to be 2 idols on Safa and Marwa. So the Muslims from Makkah, they used to do sa'i, they used to run back and forth. The Ansar, the Sahabas from Medina, they didn't used to worship those idols. So they thought that the only reason people would do sa'i was to go and see those idols. So they said, Ya Rasulullah, when they were hesitant to do sa'i. They wouldn't do it as part of their umrah in the time of Jahiliyyah. Now this ayah was revealed to say, no, you have to do it. You have to do sa'i. So the reason it was revealed was one, but when you read the ayahs of the Quran, it will fit together. Why do I say all that? Because where we're coming, this ayah, the ayah that we're starting with today, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤَدُّوا الْأَمَانَاتِ, it has a specific shan and nuzul, right? And I'll tell you the story. And then along with that, there's a reason why it comes with the flow of the surah. We'll discuss that. The shan and nuzul is what? Who was the person who had the keys to the Kaaba? There was a man named Usman bin Talha radiallahu anhu. He was from the Bani Makhzum tribe. Okay? Usman bin Talha, extremely noble person from the Quraysh, from a very good family, and his family had the honor. Look, the different responsibilities in terms of serving the Hujjaj, they were split amongst the different clans of the Quraysh. So the Bani Hashim, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's family, they used to give water to the pilgrims. Other people, they had other responsibilities. And then the Bani Makhzum, their job was to keep the key of the Kaaba. If anybody wanted to go to the Kaaba, you'd have to call one of them, they'll open the Kaaba, and they'll allow people to go inside. Okay? So Usman bin Talha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, well, this is before he was radiyallahu anha, he wasn't a Muslim, he had the keys to the Kaaba. And once, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he wanted to go into the Kaaba. Every Monday, Thursday, Usman bin Talha, he used to open the keys to the Kaaba. He used to open the Kaaba. Anybody could go. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he went in, before he went in, he gave da'wah to Usman bin Talha. And Usman bin Talha told him something very harsh. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he responded to him, he said, one day the situation may change, Usman. That, today you're letting me into the Kaaba, maybe it'll be that I'll let you into the Kaaba. Implying that. When Usman heard that, he became, and this Usman bin Talha, not Usman bin Affan, the Khalifa, radiallahu. So Usman bin Talha, he said, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has never lied, this is going to happen. From that time, Islam started to come into his heart. He was on guard. And he wanted to become Muslim, but things kept stopping him from becoming Muslim. What happened was, there's 2 narrations. One narration is that he was actually from the last of the Muhajirun. The last 3 people who left Makkah and went to Medina. Who were they? Anybody know? 3 Sahabis. Famous. Khalid bin Walid and Amr bin As radiallahu. And number 3, Usman bin Talha. Some narrations have Usman bin Talha with him. The other narration, he didn't accept until Fatih Makkah. I'll explain that as well. So this, and the 3 of them coming, that's also amazing. Because after that, they conquered Makkah, right? Khalid bin Walid, Usman bin Talha, and Amr bin As. It's like all of the cream of the crop of the Quraysh is coming. The military leader, Khalid radiallahu anhu. the political leader, Amr bin As radiallahu anh. And the spiritual leader, the one who has the key of the Kaaba, Usman bin Talha. He accepted Islam. But the other narration says that he accepted Islam later on. Right? He accepted Islam later on. Now this, what happened is, at the time of Fatih Makkah, the Kaaba was conquered. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told Usman bin Talha radiallahu anh, open the key to the Kaaba. Or open the Kaaba, bring the key. So he opened it, right? And this, regardless of whether he was Muslim or not at this time, it doesn't really affect what happened, right? He opened the Kaaba. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went in. Now, Abbas radiallahu anh, according to one narration, Abbas radiallahu anh, he wanted the honor of having the key to the Kaaba, along with giving the pilgrims water. So he and Ali radiallahu anh, they took the key from Usman bin Talha. If he was a non-Muslim, he took it forcibly. And then when Rasulullah was in the Kaaba praying, Allah revealed this ayah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤَدُّوا الْأَمَانَاتِ إِلَى أَهْلِهَا. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered that trusts be given to their rightful owners, or the one, the possessor of the trust. Return it to them. And so Rasulullah he told Ali radiallahu anh. Ali radiallahu anh, he went back, he apologized to Usman bin Talha radiallahu anh. He gave him the key. Usman said, why did you do this? He said, the ayah was revealed about you. When Usman bin Talha, he heard that you just heard an ayah of Quran and you were willing to come and apologize to me, he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. He accepted Islam. There's one narration. The other narration, and there could be confusion, right? Because who knows, like, one person may have, thought that, he accepted Islam, another person didn't. Allahu A'lam. The other narration is that he was already Muslim. But at the time of Fatih Makkah, he gave Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the key. And he told Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I hand you over this amanat, right? Even though it wasn't really like, it was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's right. However, the word that he used was amanat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returned back by saying amana, trust, by saying this ayah. Saying return it to him. And so when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam returned it to him, he told Usman bin Talha, this key will be in your family until Qiyamah. When Usman bin Talha was about to pass away, he gave the key to his brother Shayba. And this key has remained in Shayba's lineage till today. Look at how many times the governorship or the leadership, the government has changed in the Hijaz. There was the Khulafa al-Rashidun. After that there was the Umayyad Khilafah, Abbasi Khilafah. The Fatimids came in and they caused a lot of fitna and fasad for several decades. And then there was the Usmani Khilafah, now there's the Saudi family. That's changed so many times, yet that key is still in the family of Usman bin Talha radiallahu. Whenever they want to open the Kaaba, they could probably open it other ways. Out of honor, they call this, whoever the living descendant is, and they come and they open the Kaaba till this day, right? Till Qiyamah will be with them, inshallah. This is the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is where the ayah comes from, right? This is why it was revealed. How does it fit into what we're talking about? We're talking about the Bani Israel. And the Bani Israel, what they do is they don't fulfill amanat, right? They don't fulfill trust. And a big trust is what? The biggest trust is religion and our religious duties, right? Our religious duties, that's the biggest trust. So when it came to the Bani Israel, what happened was, it was their job to acknowledge that now Nubuwah has shifted from the Bani Israel and has come to the Bani Ismail. We talked a few ayahs ago, a few sessions ago, about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I put leadership and nubuwah in the children of Ibrahim alayhi salam. فَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. And the Bani Israel are from the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. But Allah didn't restrict it to just them. They wanted to restrict this honor to them. He said, no, it'll go in Ismail alayhi salam's lineage now. The time has come. The Bani Israel refused to accept this. That's why they said that we don't accept Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he's not from the Bani Israel. Allah is saying that, look, this nubuwah is also an amana, and accepting the truth is an amana. Now allow them to take leadership of the deen. Allow the people from the Bani Ismail, meaning Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, acknowledge that he's the leader and follow him. This is your amana as well. Allah has ordered that you do this, but they're not going to. They don't do it. But that's why this ayah was written. Now when it comes to amana and trust, what are there? There's different levels of that. The biggest and most important amana is our religious obligation, as I said. Allah refers to this as amana in the Quran in Surah Ahzab. إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. we presented the responsibility, the dini responsibilities to the heaven, to the ala samawati wal jibal, right? To the skies and to the mountains. فَأَبَيْنَ أَن يَحْمِلْنَا. They refused to take it. وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا. And they were afraid. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ. But mankind took it upon themselves. وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ جَهُولًا. But it's ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. People are very foolish, right? It's a huge responsibility. That's shari'i taklif. Then another amana is a position, whatever position it is. If you take a position, it's an amana. It's not to fulfill your ego. It's not to show that I am the best. It's not to, show people who am I, right? It's that when you take any role, you need to be willing to put in the work in order to fulfill that role dutifully. And when a person doesn't do this, it's a sign of qiyamah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said to the people, إِذَا ضُيِّعَتِ الْأَمَانَةُ فَانْتَظِرِ السَّاعَةِ. Famous hadith. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that when amanas, this is a Bukhari Sharif hadith, that when amanas are destroyed and neglected, await the day of judgment coming. So an Arabi said, what do you mean, Ya Rasulullah? What does this mean? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا وُسِّدَ الْأَمْرُ إِلَى غَيْرِ أَهْلِهِ فَانْتَظِرِ السَّاعَةِ. When responsibilities are given to those who are not ahl, those who aren't qualified for that, then wait for the day of judgment. Because fasad will come, and this is not restricted just to this is to dunya as well, right? When responsibilities are given to people who are not worthy of them, what will happen? You'll have fasad in religious institutions. If people who aren't qualified become the leadership, if the imam, anybody, I'm not singling anybody out, right? Or if it's a fundraising organization, but a person who's not worthy of that is given the position of leadership, you'll see that institution go down and the people will suffer. When governments are given, when people who aren't qualified to take power, they come into government, what will happen? Those countries will go down as well. This is why, look, when in the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, famous hadith, we always talk about three things. We talk about, Jibreel alayhi salam came and asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what is the first question? Mal Islam, mal Iman, mal Ihsan. What is Iman? What is Islam? What is Iman? And what is Ihsan? There's a fourth question that was asked as well. What was that fourth question? About Qiyamah, right? When is the Mata Sa'ah? When is the day of judgment? And Rasulullah said, I don't know. So Jibreel said, show me the signs of the day of judgment. So just like knowing these three things, Iman, Islam, Ihsan, is part and parcel of our deen, recognizing the signs of Qiyamah is also part and parcel of our deen. Because this occurred just 40-50 days before Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passed away. And he said, Jibreel came to teach you your deen. So now when Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, when he asked Rasulullah what are the signs, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said two things. Anta lidat amata rabbataha. Right? That a woman will give birth to her master. Right? وَأَن تَرَى الْحُفَاةَ الْعُرَاةَ what is it? That they will يَتَطَالَوْنَ فِي الْبُنْيَانِ. You'll see also barefoot people, naked people competing in building tall buildings, right? So what does this refer to? This refers to leadership. This refers to that two things. One is leadership and one is societal chaos. There'll be societal chaos because the hierarchy in society will be messed up. A mother gives birth to her child and that child serves the mother. Not that she gives birth to her master. But you'll see societal chaos because things will be flipped upside down. And when it comes to this barefoot, naked Bedouins competing in building towers, you see that if you look at the pictures of those people now who are building high towers, you'll see pictures, photographs of their childhood, they're standing barefoot in the desert, right? But along with that, it also shows unqualified leadership making foolish financial decisions, leading to economic crises as well. I'm not just making this up. There's, one scholar in Yemen, brilliant scholar, rahmatullahi alayhi, he passed away. He wrote about all of this, right? He said that it's something that needs to be understood. So when those amanat, when the leadership is not fulfilled on a micro level, on a macro level, you'll see problems occur. Number three, judging, being a judge between people. Whether you're a judge in a court, whether you're a judge in between a family members, between community members, this is also an amanat. You shouldn't favor people. When a person comes to you asking for you to judge, they expect that you be fair to them. Lastly, obedience. Obedience to Allah. Obedience to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obedience to the leadership as well. And then there's one qualification. All of these are amanat. Okay? Then after that you have general amanats. That means any right that a person they have over you. To the point that, because amana means to deposit something with someone else and they protect it for you. They don't, let's say that I give uncle, the keys to my house because I have to go outside and say, can you just go in here and there and just make sure that basement hasn't flooded or something like that. Get my mail, put it inside. He says, okay. I've given him the keys. He's holding on to it for me. If I ask him for it back, he'll give it to me, but he's not going to give it to anybody else. That will be wasting the amana. So much so that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, al-majalisu bil amana. Gatherings, meetings, these are also amana. Meaning somebody is depositing their thoughts, their fears, their trepidations, their insecurities, they're depositing it with you. It's an amana. Don't give it to anybody else. Don't tell anybody else, right? This is also an amana. Okay? So these need to be fulfilled as well. Now we come to the ayah and we'll see how all of these different types of amana they fill in. Inna Allah ya'murukum an tu'addul amanat. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered you that you return, that you give trusts to their rightful possessors. So, O Bani Israel, give the trust of Nubuwwah, hand it over to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. O Muslims, whatever trust you have to fulfill it, give it back to the person when their time comes. Now Allah, and this is referring to religious duties as well. In one of these, Kandili rahmatullahi alayhi, he says that there's three types of amanas, three categories. He says one is between you and Allah. So amana is your salah, your fasting. These are amana. Don't waste these. Number two, he says there's amanas between you and other people. Somebody gives you something, somebody tells you something, you can't waste that. The third amana is between you and your body. And how do you fulfill the amana between you and yourself, you and your body? Don't do anything that will cause your body harm in dunya or akhirah. Eat healthy food, don't do self-destructive types of things. Along with that, don't do things that will destroy your akhirah either. This is fulfilling the amana. Okay? Now we shift to example number 2. وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. So, when you're a judge, this is one example. And I mentioned that earlier, right? وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ أَن تَحْكُمُوا بِالْعَدْلِ. And when you judge between people, judge with justice, because this is the amana. And O Bani Israel, when you're judging who is the rightful Nabi, accept, do it justice. Don't say, he's not from Bani Israel, he's not a Nabi. Say, he is the Nabi. Similarly, when we have to judge anyone in any matter, be just. Inna Allah ni'imma ya'izukum bih. What great advice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you. That's how you can translate it. What great advice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you. Why is it great advice? Because your dunya and your akhirah will be taken care of if you follow this, right? If you follow this, your dunya and your akhirah will be taken care of. Look, justice is such a thing, the world runs on justice. Can a government, can it survive kufr? Yes, it can. But it can't survive injustice, right? Why do people come from Muslim countries here? Because over here, I'm not talking everybody has their own conspiracy theories. Some things are conspiracy theories and some things are fact. There's corruption everywhere, there's corruption on high levels, for sure, right? Nobody's denying that. But if I get into an accident, Allah forbid, I can go to the court, I can sue the person, I can make a claim, and I can get it. If somebody comes and breaks, into anybody's property, you can call the police will show up. Inshallah, they'll show you justice here. I told you, I have a relative from a Muslim country, right? His family didn't stay back in India. They moved to a Muslim country, right? He is there, He told me, but now he lives in America. I asked him, why did he, what was your story in coming to America? You could guess which country he went to, but I'm not trying to put any country down. That's why I'm not mentioning the name. I say, why didn't you stay there? Why didn't you come to America? Because he was in that country, we never met, right? Like we didn't meet for many years, right? Because his father was my grandfather's oldest son's, my grandfather's oldest brother's son. Meaning, though he was my grandfather's nephew, he was like my grandfather's age, right? And so he went in like 1948, he went, right? He went over there. So then after that, we never seen it. Then he came to America, his son came to us. I said, why do you come? He said, look, I wanted to start a business. I had to wait in line for 3 days. I don't understand this. I don't know how he had to wait in line for 3 days, but he said he had to wait in line for 3 days. And then he said finally when he got to the front of the line to get this permit to start this business, he said the person who's Muslim at the counter, so you have to give me a bribe, you have to give me a mission. He said, forget this, my sister is in America, I'm going to go to America. He went to America, he started, mashallah, successful business. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed him a lot, and he's doing very well, right? Why? Over here there's justice, right? So a government, it can survive kufr, but it can't survive injustice. Inna Allah ni'ma ya'izukum bih. And that's why Muslim governments, when they had justice, they thrived and they ruled away. And when that justice went away, they fell. And when Imam Mahdi, radiyallahu ta'ala, he comes, what will he bring? He'll bring justice. And that's how Islam will come up. And you see in whatever pockets where Muslim leaders are trying to bring in justice, you see that they're succeeding. Right? Now, Inna Allah ni'ma ya'izukum. How great advice Allah gives you. Inna Allah kana sami'an. Verily Allah hears what you do. Basira, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all seeing. What this means is that Allah knows, sees and hears what you're doing. And so He knows if you're fulfilling trust or not. And even if you feel, Allah forbid, that in following Allah's command here it's not good for me, in the long run Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has that insight, knowing that in the long run it is good for you. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul. O believers, obey Allah and obey His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Look, there's two things here. Number one, Allah says obey Allah and obey Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why? Because although they're both Wahi, Quran and Hadith, the source, apparent source, seems to be different. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making ishara, that these two things, they complement one another. You have to obey, just as we say, obey Allah, obey Rasulullah. You have unfortunate people today, we have firqas who call themselves Ahlul Quran, etc. They say we don't need to follow Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rasulullah says that he was like, na'uzubillah, just a mailman. He had to deliver a message. We don't have to follow him. Or his obedience was only binding on the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. We don't have to obey. Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O believers, till the end of time. Ati'u Allah, obey Allah and obey Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ulil amri minkum, and those who have been given authority from amongst you. Now listen over here. Allah doesn't say wa ati'u a third time. Obey wa ulil amri minkum. He brings it tabi'. He brings it just following. Allah says, obey Allah, obey Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obey is brought twice. And then Allah says, and those given authority. Here's the ishara. That a person in authority should be obeyed if they're obeying Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? And if they're not obeying Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then if a person has the ability to, I don't want to get that political, right?
You have to. You're gonna follow on or not?
But see, then you see, like in books of Aqidah, it says that never rebel against the ruler. Then you see Muslim countries rebel against the ruler. The balances over here is that if the people, they have the ability to actually really come into power, and the leadership is not following Quran and Sunnah, and they'll implement Quran and Sunnah, they can make an attempt to do so. But if by doing so, it's just going to cause more bloodshed and chaos, and it's going to, like, they have no chance, right? Like 1-2 people is going to go out and try to, they shouldn't. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Right? So if there's the ability, that's why you see Hussein radiallahu anhu. He had support. He wasn't like a lone wolf. Hussein radiallahu ta'ala, he had support. and he had a real chance, and he thought that the people of Kufa were going to support him as well, so he went against Yazid, right? And I'll also make one disclaimer over here. Somebody, they told me, they'll hear this too. I don't think they were here, but somebody they told me, you said something, there's a clip of you going on WhatsApp. Me? So yeah, there's a clip of you going on WhatsApp. People are upset with you. I was like, okay. He said, there's a clip of you and you said something that upset them. Okay, if it's me, then I said it. Right? I don't think I'm important enough that someone's going to make a deep fake. They said that when we were talking about cursing, it's mentioned in Ma'arif al-Quran and other books of Tafseer, on the rules of cursing, it says that you shouldn't curse, like you only curse a person whose ending is known for sure. Like Fir'aun, like Abu Lahab, you curse them. And in the books, it says that you shouldn't, even to the point, you shouldn't curse Yazid. Right? Meaning you don't know like his end, whatever, right? So I did knuckle of that. And then some people were very offended by that. They say, how could he say that? Okay? There's a clip, there's context to it. But okay, I said it, so it's not like I'm going to deny that. I'm just bringing that up why we said Hussein and Yazid. Look, nobody's saying Yazid is a good person, right? In general, a Muslim is a person who doesn't curse, right? But when it comes to cursing Yazid, there's two camps amongst the ulama, right? Amongst the ulama. Some people, they say, you should curse him. Others say that you shouldn't. So, the ihtiyat from some ulama is that you shouldn't curse him. Don't say anything good about it. Nobody's saying rahmatullahi alayhi after his name, right? Because he was responsible for a very bad thing that happened, right? Or he was at least the leader in charge, whether or not he ordered it or had knowledge of it. You'll find different tarihi history riwayas. He wasn't in charge. He was in charge, right? The buck stops with him. But some say that he didn't intend for it to happen that way. Whatever. So I'm just clearing that up. So clip bhejna, ye clip bhi bhej do. Okay. I was doing nakal of this, of Ma'arif al-Quran. And also, there's two opinions amongst them. In general, though he may be a bad person, a Muslim is somebody who curses, right? If the time that we want to spend, for example, take Yazid out of the picture. If I want to sit with the tasbih and I say, La'natullah ala shaitan, La'natullah ala shaitan, La'natullah ala shaitan, Allah curse shaitan. I do that for 1 hour, 2 hours. I can do it. But in that time, if I read Quran, right, for 2 hours, is better for me and better for my akhirah. If a person loves Hazrat Hussein, we love him, right? Look, if somebody wants to accuse that I know Yazid, my mother is Sayyid Husseini, right? That's our parnam, right? If better than cursing Yazid, better is that time spent to curse him, read Quran, give sadaqah, and send the reward to Hazrat Hussein radiallahu ta'ala and all of those that were killed with him. Okay? So just clearing it up. Now, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول. Now, if you dispute, if the leader tells you to do something, and there's some dispute, في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول. Go back to Allah and go back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Meaning, this means after Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has passed. So the leader is not Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If he's there, you'll actually go to him. Now you have another leader in charge. So now he says, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. Go back to Allah and Rasul, meaning go back to the Quran and go back to the Sunnah. But in order to understand those, now who are you in need of? You're in need of another ulil amr. The first ulil amr, it referred to leadership, like a government leadership. But now to understand, to return to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now you're in need of the ulama, the fuqaha. These are also ulul amr. These are people who are given religious authority. So over there, even the government leader, what he needs to do is he needs to defer to what they say. And this is something that was said about the Ottoman Empire. A non-Muslim, he came to the Ottoman Empire and he's seen it. And he said the Sultan, he rules the entire world, meaning he rules millions of people. Millions and millions of people, and he's the ruler. This is like when the Ottoman Sultan was a totalitarian ruler. But he said, but the Sultan, he is ruled. This is a non-Muslim saying, a European who observed the court. He said, but the Sultan is ruled by the Quran and the Multaqa. We all know what the Quran is. What is the Multaqa? Does anybody know? Multaqa al-Abhur is a famous book of fiqh, right? There's Mukhtasar Quduri, famous book of Hanafi fiqh. Ottomans are Hanafi too, right? Because you know that all the big empires, all Hanafi. Abbasid Khilafah, Mughal Khilafah, Empire, Ottoman Khilafah, all run by Hanafis, right? So Multaqa al-Abhur is a famous book of fiqh written or compiled by Ibrahim al-Halabi rahmatullahi alayhi, who was he was a scholar during the Ottoman days, and he brought all of the Masail of fiqh. So if there was something, the ruler would go and he'd ask the Grand Mufti of the time, is such and such thing permissible? He says, yes, it's permissible. He said, go ahead and do it. They would listen to them so much, the fatwa was given. You'll never believe it. Did you know how many of the Ottoman Khulafa went and performed Hajj? Anybody know? 0. The fatwa was given by the Muftis, the Grand Muftis, the Ottoman Khalifa. He's not allowed to do Hajj. He's not allowed to do Hajj, do Hajj Badal. And they obeyed it. Or they obeyed this order.
So what's the reason? I mean,
you tell me what's the reason.
huh?
What's the reason? And in that time, is there an airplane that he could go and come back in 2 weeks? If the Sultan,
he cannot leave his job and
and his job is to uphold the establishment of the deen in the lands over millions of people.
Yeah.
If he's to go, all of his people know exactly where he's going, when he's going, and he'll be gone at this time. Let us cause fitna and fasad. So listen to the ulama of the time, right? So anyways, this is something too. So they also need to listen to the rulers. There's another one of the Ottoman Sultan. He wanted to forcibly convert all of the Christians of the Ottoman Empire to Islam, right? Because most of the subjects, there are a lot of Muslims, there are a lot of Christian subjects as well. But the Grand Mufti said, you're not allowed to do this as well. Because Allah says, La ikraha fid deen. So he said, okay, Allah abandoned this. Okay, then anyways. So, وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. Now go back to Allah and His Rasul. إِن كُنْتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. If you believe in Allah and you believe in the last day, ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. This is better for you. وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. And this will lead to a better end. Inshallah, we'll stop here. Next week, we're going to discuss more about judgment. And we'll discuss Ka'b bin Ashraf. Ka'b bin Ashraf, do you remember who he was? Leader of which tribe? Banu? You can tell me next week. Is he from Banu Nazir, Banu Qaynuqa, Banu Qurayza? And eventually he was assassinated, right? But this story is this ayah was revealed in the context of Ka'b bin Ashraf. And it was revealed in the context of Umar radiallahu anh carrying out an execution. I'm going to ask, how did he carry out an execution? And the result of these ayahs will also speak about Umar radiallahu anh being given the ruling of, or the name of Farouk, right? So inshallah next week, if Allah gives tawfiq, we'll speak about Ka'b bin Ashraf. We'll speak about Umar radiallahu anh and his execution. We'll speak about Umar radiallahu anh being given the title of Farouk, and also amazing story from Islamic history about one person coming to the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and making dua there. Inshallah next week, if Allah gives tawfiq. Wa akhir da'wana, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.